Welcome to the deep dive. You, our listeners, have shown a real interest in nutrition nuances, and today, well, we're tackling a big one: protein for vegans.
That's right. It's a topic with lots of assumptions floating around.
Totally, whether you eat plant-based or you're just curious.
Yeah.
And we've got some fascinating new research.
Yeah, fresh out of New Zealand from Massey University.
Yeah.
It pushes us past just asking, do vegans get enough protein?
Right. Our mission today is deeper. We're looking at protein quality for long-term vegans, specifically essential amino acids, those building blocks.
Exactly. So not just the total number, but are they getting all the crucial types?
And the main source for this is a study that just came out April 16th, 2025 in Key LOS1, led by Bijou Patricia So. We also have some helpful bits from the source text itself. Now, the common thought is often maybe getting enough protein is the main hurdle for vegans, but this study adds some real layers.
It does. It challenges that straightforward idea. It's not just how much protein, but is it the right kind? And can your body actually use it effectively? That's the deeper question here.
Okay, so the big question we're really digging into is, if a vegan hits their daily protein target, the recommended grams, does that automatically mean they're getting enough of all the essential amino acids?
Precisely. That's the critical distinction. It's not always a given.
All right, let's get into that. Maybe start with the basics. Protein's vital, we know that. But what exactly are proteins made of again?
Sure. So proteins are fundamental, right, for structure, function, everything. And they're built from smaller units called amino acids.
Okay.
Now, our bodies can make some amino acids, but there are 9 called essential or indispensable amino acids that we just can't make.
Meaning we absolutely have to get them from food.
Exactly. They must come from our diet.
And this is where it gets particularly relevant for vegans, isn't it? The study notes that plant foods can sometimes have, lower or maybe more varied levels of these essential ones compared to animal foods.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
So ensuring you get enough of all 9 might take a bit more, let's say, strategic eating on a purely plant-based diet.
Makes sense.
And what's interesting, or maybe a limitation of past research, is that most studies just looked at the total amount of protein vegans ate.
Just the overall grams per day.
Yeah. They often didn't drill down into the specific amino acids, and crucially, they often overlooked digestibility.
Digestibility. Okay, why is that so important?
Well, because not all the protein you eat gets fully broken down and absorbed. Think about it. Plant foods often have fiber, other components.
Right, which might interfere a bit.
Exactly. It can affect how easily your body accesses those amino acids. So the bioavailability, how much you actually absorb and use, might be lower for some plant proteins.
So you could be eating enough on paper, but not actually getting enough usable amino acids.
That's the potential issue, yes.
Okay, so this New Zealand study, how did they tackle these gaps? What did they actually do?
They did a really detailed analysis. They got 193 long-term vegans in New Zealand.
Long-term, okay.
Yep. And had them keep detailed 4-day food diaries, recording everything.
Wow, 4 days. That's quite a snapshot.
It is. And then they used comprehensive food databases, USDA data, and the New Zealand food files to calculate the specific amino acid intake from all those foods listed in the diaries.
So really getting into the weeds of what amino acids were in those specific meals. Very thorough.
Extremely.
What did they find initially, just looking at total protein? Did most people meet the recommendations?
Well, that first look was actually pretty reassuring. About 75% of the participants did meet the recommended daily intake for total protein.
Okay, 3/4? That sounds pretty good on the surface. But I sense a but coming. This is where it gets really interesting, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Because while total protein looked okay for most, the picture changed when they zoomed in on those essential amino acids.
Uh-huh.
Now, even when they looked at the intake of all 9 essential amino acids, without adjusting for digestibility yet, just based on what was eaten, most participants, when adjusted for body weight, were meeting the requirements.
Still sounding okay then, mostly hitting the targets.
Mostly, yes. But the critical detail emerged when they applied the digestibility factor, accounting for how much is actually absorbed.
And what happened then?
That's when a potential issue surfaced. Only about half, roughly 50% of the participants, met the daily requirements for 2 specific essential amino acids, lysine and leucine.
Whoa, okay, hold on. So from 75% meeting total protein and most meeting essential amino acids before digestion, down to only half meeting lysine and leucine after considering digestion.
That's the key finding. Lysine and leucine were identified as the most limiting, indispensable amino acids for this group of vegans.
Lysine and leucine. Why are those two particularly important or maybe harder to get enough of on a vegan diet?
Good question. Lysine is involved in lots of things: protein building, hormones, calcium absorption, and it tends to be lower in certain plant sources, especially grains, compared to animal foods.
Okay, grains might be low in lysine. What about leucine?
Leucine is really well known for its role in triggering muscle protein synthesis. Think muscle building and repair. It also helps regulate blood sugar,
Right. Crucial for athletes, maybe older adults too.
definitely. And while it's present in plant foods, getting optimal amounts might require careful choices.
So where were these vegans getting their protein and amino acids from? Did the study show which foods were helping with lysine and leucine?
Yes, it did. Legumes and pulses, so things like beans, lentils, chickpeas, they were the biggest contributors to overall protein intake.
Okay, that makes sense.
And importantly, they were also the main source of lysine for these participants.
Ah, that's a really practical point. So legumes are key for lysine.
Seems that way, yes. A very valuable takeaway for you listening: incorporating those foods seems pretty crucial for lysine if you're vegan.
Good to know. The study also mentioned, I think, three sort of example vegans, Mandy, Jerry, and Sandy. What did they illustrate?
Ah, yes, those were hypothetical examples based on the patterns they saw. Mandy represented a balanced approach. She got enough total protein and good quality protein, meaning likely enough of all essential amino acids.
Got it. The ideal, perhaps?
Then Jerry met his total protein goal, but his diet lacked quality. Probably short on key amino acids like lysine or leucine, despite hitting the total gram target.
Right. Enough quantity, poor quality.
Exactly. And then Sandy, well, her diet didn't meet the mark for either quantity or quality. And the researchers actually noted that Sandy's pattern was quite common in their group.
Wow. So that really drives home the main point, doesn't it? High total protein doesn't automatically equal high quality protein.
Precisely. You can hit the number, but miss the mark on the essential building blocks.
So what are the bigger implications here? Why should someone listening who's vegan or thinking about it really pay attention to this?
Well, the main takeaway is that just meeting your daily protein target isn't a guarantee you're getting enough of all the indispensable amino acids, especially when you factor in digestibility.
And that matters because...
Because prolonged shortages, even if mild, could potentially affect your body's protein balance over time. Things like muscle maintenance, maybe other functions, can be particularly relevant for, say, older adults or athletes, people with higher needs. The researchers themselves really stress the need for more research on how vegans can boost lysine and leucine effectively in a balanced way.
Right. So based on the study, what's the practical advice? What are the key things someone can do?
The number one thing seems to be dietary variety. Eating a wide range of different plant protein sources is vital to cover all your bases, amino acid-wise.
Don't just rely on one or two things.
Exactly. And, as the study highlighted, really make sure you're including legumes and pulses regularly: beans, lentils, chickpeas. They seem crucial for lysine. Nuts and seeds help too, contributing to both lysine and leucine.
So it comes back to conscious choices.
It really does.
Yeah.
If you're vegan or considering it, it's not just about the total grams of protein. It's about the types of protein foods you choose to make sure you're getting that full complement of essential amino acids.
Okay, so the big aha moment here really is, while many vegans in this study got enough total protein, the crunch comes with specific essential amino acids like lysine and leucine, especially when you consider how well your body actually uses them.
That's the core insight, yes. Quality and bioavailability matter, not just quantity. You need to focus on food choices that deliver those specific building blocks effectively.
It shifts the focus, definitely, from just counting grams to understanding the profile of the foods.
Understanding the whole picture.
Fascinating stuff. So considering this new info, maybe think about, what small tweaks could you make? Or what other questions does this spark for you about plant-based nutrition? Perhaps it's time to look up some good sources of lysine and leucine specifically. Thanks for diving deep with us on this really important topic.